Right, guys, thanks. We're going to kick off today and welcome to Coffee with Callbi. It's our fourth session and it'll be a monthly session. We are creating the Callbi community. So thank you so much for registering and participating. I think just to kick off with introductions with me today are Nosihle Mbatha, our customer success executive sitting down in Durban. And you say you got air conditioning on in Durban today. We've got heaters
It's
on in
hot,
Johannesburg.
it's nice, because when we are burning here, we don't complain. So if we just nice and warm, leave us,
Lovely.
please.
Nosi, for those who haven't met Nosi, is a trainer and coach par excellence with many, many years of experience in the operational side of call centers and contact centers. And sitting down in, I think you're in Bredasdorp today, are you, Corey? Corey brings about 15 years of experience in speech analytics and data analytics. Corey's our demo guru. He also handles the commercials and also does regular check-ins with customers. So those who are new to us and new to our Callbi community, if you need a demo, if you want to see some of the features on a one-on-one basis, please just pop us an email or put it in the chat line and we'll pick up on that. So yeah, please use either the chat or the Q&A session down there. I'll be monitoring that as we go along. So Corey, I'm going to ask you first off, we've got a lot of existing customers and Callbi users that we call insights analysts with us today. Why don't you just talk about some of the newer features on Callbi very briefly, and perhaps even some of the very exciting roadmap items that we have planned for release later this year. Over to you, Corey.
So from my side, good morning, everyone. As always, thank you for joining it. It's one of my favorite coffee sessions of the month. So new things that have rolled out that is available immediately. We've released a feature that you can subscribe to. It is free to provide call summaries on a per call basis. What we do need for that is just for you to sign a processing agreement. Obviously, we use a non-learning large language model. If you want to find out how to activate the feature and get the agreement, it's just a simple one to say processing gets done by a large language model for the summary. It's a really useful feature. It gives you a quick overview of what the conversation is about. So it saves you time and brings efficiencies that you don't have to wade through, 20 minutes worth of transcript or listen to 20 minutes of audio to get a feel for what it is. And it's part of our big drive for 2025 is to say, how do we make Callbi easier, but also introduce efficiencies and make it, faster. And the summaries is one of those, faster to understand a call, faster then to be able to decide what to do with it. So that is the one big feature.
Corey, can I just stop you on that one there? Just on that particular feature, if we get a call summary, how easy is it to take that call summary and perhaps cut and paste it or drop it into the CRM or the customer record?
So currently it's a cut and paste, it's on a per call basis. But what we are looking at and working on is the ability then to do that in bulk. So that's going to be the next version of the roadmap. What we're looking for initially is just to see what is the adoption, what is the acceptance, how's everyone enjoying the feature, what is it that they want to add to that. And then based on that, we can look at how do we do it as bulk. Bulk processing is different. It is more, it'll be a paid for feature in time that you can then generate summaries for every call, let's say by way of example, extract that via the API. But for now, for me, Callbi is an operational insight tool. They're using it to monitor, manage, and understand agent behavior in call. And then obviously based on that understanding is then what are the actions you take to either correct the behavior or introduce more of the desired behavior. So with that in mind, the way we're deploying it currently with call summaries on a per call basis is absolutely fit for purpose. I found a call, it's failed one of my checks. I want to go and understand what the call is about. And a quick way is the summary. So that is how we've deployed it in this order. In time, the bulk processing will become available and then drive it forward from there.
Great stuff. Nosi, on your side of things, on the practical application of call summaries, are you using it with your clients at the moment? Are there any examples that you can discuss?
So it's a really new feature, Rod, so there's not much that has gone into it. So it's really important that we talk about that agreement that the clients will need to sign so that can start using it, and then we can start getting the necessary feedback. Like we release some features, but it's very important for us to get feedback from our clients if it's working for them, if there's something that they want to see, if there's any additional criteria that we can add, just to get an understanding of how we can make their lives better. So it's still new at the moment. As soon as we get those agreements, we can start releasing to our clients, and then we can get the necessary feedback.
Excellent. I think that you raise a good point there that I think we need to stress that we're trying to create, in fact, we have created a Callbi community, and feedback from customers, from users, criticisms or problems that you might encounter, ideas, suggestions, use cases, all of that is really very important to the operational team, and particularly to our the team of gurus that we have sitting down in Stellenbosch doing the development work. So you're very much part of the development of Callbi going forward. Corey, back to you. Any other features you want to talk to?
So before I move off the feature, I actually want to show it because it's got a couple of tricks up its sleeve. So just confirm you can see my Callbi screen.
Yes, I got it.
Perfect stuff. So I've just opened up a quick call. Up front, the summary then gives you a view of what the call was about. The summary view does have some tricks up its sleeve. So I'm going to just pick, let's say, a Afrikaans call. So this call, just in terms of stats, is 88% Afrikaans. But if I look at the summary is in English. So Callbi has always said we will never translate the transcripts. Because translation is fraught with errors. You've got words in context that might mean something different. But the way around the translation is to have the summary in English. So it gives you a view of, if I'm not Afrikaans speaking, I can still get a view of what this call was about, what the issue was, what the resolution was. And that's what we've done, is we've enhanced the prompt for the summary to provide really the crux of the conversation. I'll just do one more. I've got a Zulu call hiding in here somewhere, so there's my Zulu call. And again, the conversation is 54% Zulu. However, the summary is in English, which then really helps me to get a quick view of it if I'm not an English-speaking person. So let's say I'm looking after the customer experience. I've got a call that failed my sentiment query. Now I want to see what the call was about. It's a Zulu call. I don't speak Zulu, but I can still look at the summary.
Yeah,
so
that's very powerful.
That's the real advantage of this, is the ability to at least give you the call summary back in English, although we don't translate word for word.
Thanks for that, Corey. Okay, Corey.
Yeah, go for it, Rob.
No, I was going to say we got a nice question come in from Rudy Pretorius. You can see it in the chat box there. With regard to calls that are flagged, is there a way to get a notification via email or something else to advise that it was flagged? Corey, why don't you just, while you've got your demo screen up there, just flag the tagging functionality?
So I want to just flag what Rudy has identified. So our original design philosophy was, remember operational insight. I want to be able to interact. The dashboards is where and I'm going to just open up my screen. So what we've done is the dashboards is where you get the insight. So if a call has failed, I can then click on it and then understand the call. So that was the flow of it. Email notifications, what we currently do from an email perspective is things like your scorecards. You can schedule those to be sent out on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, a specific time slot. So you can get your quality scorecards that were automated put down to you. The alerting is a roadmap item where if a check fails, you want to be alerted. But for us, the reason why we waited so long with alerting is it was always a non-event, because our insight analysts are working in Callbi the whole day. This is where you're tracking, you're trending, investigating, and you'll see for every day, or every hour, where the exceptions were so that you can investigate it. So that was the reason why notifications are only going to say to you, log into Callbi and have a look. And the expectations, you're logging into Callbi daily anyway, because that's how you manage and monitor the agent behavior. But it is a roadmap item. We are looking at how do we do it, how will we implement it. So watch the space. Currently, it's very early in the feature. As I said, it's not a feature being requested. So that much, but for us, it is a roadmap item to bring in notifications at some point.
But Corey, the tagging feature,
Okay. Sorry.
does
Yeah.
that not also address partially the ability to notify a third party about a particular call?
So yes, it is. So I'm going to just scroll down to the tags. So for me, the tags are used in two ways. It's a workflow item, so I can assign a call for somebody's attention. For this example, I've assigned it to Rod, and then Rod can have a dashboard that has got all the calls assigned to him. I'm just going to create a quick dashboard. I'm going to say, right, this is my coffee with Callbi. I'm going to just do a call list, and I'm going to say I want to group it by agent. And then once I've created it, I can say, right now, I want to add it. I want to group it by tags. And I'm going to add the Rod tag in it. So then I can look at all calls that were tagged for Rod for the period that I can then investigate. It is a way then for me to take a call and pass it on to somebody to go, this call is actually for you to investigate so that you can see what is coming through. The second portion around tags is you can use them as again, indicators. I've had an assessment done, there was an issue in it. And again, I can use the tags as filter items in the dashboard as I've just shown. So with that in mind, tags are a really useful workflow item where I can assign calls for somebody's attention. I can indicate something was done on the call. And again, you can use those as filter items in the dashboards, which then adds the granularity. It's not really a notification, but it's more, let's say I'm investigating a call, I've picked it up. It's got a compliance issue. I want to flag it for the person looking after compliance so they can address the call, they can validate what has happened in it. So it's a really nice way to move things around from a workflow perspective. Great question. Thanks, Rod.
Excellent, thanks. Rudy, I hope that addresses your issue. Lindsay Wallet, you've put up your hand. Can I bring you in? I'll allow you to talk. So, Lindsay, welcome to Live with Coffee with Callbi. Lindsay, are you there?
There I am. Hello, can
There
you
we
hear me?
go.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, we can hear you perfectly. Go for it, Lindsay.
Thanks. I might be a bit on the back end with this tagging feature, but it looks pretty cool. What I wanted to find out is, it looks like you manually assign the tags. Is there a way within the transcript to, for example, identify, I want to say, keywords that would potentially tag the call automatically? And then I think it was Rudy's point around then being able to create like an alert to say, okay, for example, this call had maybe not sentiment is one, but then to kind of tag, for example, that this call was around a hot topic that's happening. Like in the Mercedes-Benz example, let's say all the run flats, I don't know anything about cars, but all the run flat tires just burst all of a sudden, and it's now like a major issue. So is there a way to kind of tag almost like trending topics based on the transcript of the call? Just wondering if that's something that
Interesting.
does.
So it's a great question. So trending topics is something we're working on to how do we use, and Nele could potentially, Nosihle could potentially show it for us, is we're busy with a new way of building queries using large language models that are still in beta, but that will be, potentially to identify hot topics. But the best way to do it is still to do a query to identify those hot topics. And I'll explain why I say the query. But so let's say you're looking for run flat tires that burst. So I can have a query. It's saying I'm looking for all calls where they mention burst run flat, and I do it in distant proximity so I can flag those calls. So then I can identify those calls in the dashboard. I can then track the number of occurrences of that particular incident on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And the reason why we do it with queries is expert-based systems, which is query-driven, are cost-effective, and they're really good for bulk processing. So if you've got 1,000 agents, you're doing 100,000 calls a day. You can't run that through, let's say, a large language model. And I'll give some examples around it where you can say, give me all calls that had run flat tires. So instead of building a keyword query, you ask the large language model to then go and sift through the calls. It's incredibly expensive to run large language models. Yes, in time it'll become more cost effective. And I'll give an example. I recently attended a demo of somebody that built a solution using large language models. their cost per agent per month running it in that model is well over 1,000 Rand, which to me is insane. You know, if you've got 50 agents, instead of paying the, sort of 150 Rand for a Callbi license, you're now paying 1,200 Rand for a license. I could rather go and hire 3 insight analysts and get a lot more value on that way. So yes, AI is great. It can help make some of the things easier, but it is incredibly expensive to run it in bulk. And it will be for the next couple of years. And that's why Callbi took the route of we want to be the most cost-effective solution. And the query route is the best way to do it. Yes, in time we're experimenting with it. You'll see that feature being released in the next couple of months. Nosi can demo if she has it there. But it's not practical in bulk. It's more around giving a quick view of hot topics and then to build queries to track those hot topics. Make sense?
Excellent. Thanks.
Yeah, it does. Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
Thanks for coming in on the call, Lindsay. As I said, please, everybody on the call, it's interactive, it's a community, so feel free, pop your hand up and we'll bring you in live, or you can pop a question in the chat or the Q&A. Nosi, while you're concentrating on that, another feature that is being rolled out is the rating sheets. Won't expand on that, because that came up a year or two ago from the users, that there was a need for a functionality in QA measurement. So why don't you talk about the rating sheets and where it is? It's in beta at the moment, but over to you.
So the rating sheets feature is, I'm going to say ready, but we are currently in testing. So just to explain for anybody that didn't understand what it's about, we've got clients that are using Callbi combined with manual scoring, because there are some aspects that they're unable to use Callbi for. For instance, they cannot use Callbi to confirm if the details was captured correctly. So for those types of assessments, they would use a manual score, where at the end of the month, end of the week, or whatever it is, they will then need to take the Callbi score and the manual assessment score and combine it to give an overall score. So what we wanted to do was to have Callbi giving the ability to take what our clients are using on manual sheets, to take that and implement it into Callbi. So you have the ability to create a manual scoring sheet, and sometimes you can be able to combine it with some of the queries that are already built in Callbi, where you can have a manual person marking, yes, it was done, no, it wasn't done, yes, it was done, and then getting a combined score at the end of the month. So that for the at the moment is currently in testing. We've got a few of our clients going and using that feature, and we also want to get feedback from them to see, is it going to work? Are we on the right track? Is there anything that we need to improve? So together with the rating sheets, we've got another workflow. After the rating sheets is done, Callbi now allows you to send that sheet to a team leader, a coach, or whoever it is, and they get a pop-up to say there's a rating sheet that is done. They will go in, look at the outcomes, listen to the call if they need to, and then they'll pop you information back, and all of that is being housed within the Callbi environment.
Okay, excellent. Corey, are there any other new features you wanted to just
Can I just show the AI queries quickly?
Yes,
Oh yes, please do.
Yeah. I know that most of our clients, and this is for everyone, please let me know, because me and Zoom are not friends, guys.
You're doing just fine. There we go. We can see your screen. Over to you, Nosi.
Perfect. So a lot of our clients are complaining, well, new clients, and I know that query building has always been, one of those challenging aspects of Callbi. So we're trying to make it simpler and easy to use, even though you won't be able to use the semantic queries for every single query. There are some queries where you'll still need to do your text-based queries, but you now can have the ability to create AI queries, which you don't have to add different text. So I'm going to show you some that I've done. So for this one, the only thing that you have to do is, did the agent advice calls are recorded? Or you can just give it a prompt to indicate what you are looking for, and you go process, You don't add any specific text or combination or whatever it is, and then it'll go in and find the specific calls for you. Find calls where calls are recorded, I mentioned, and I'm going to show you another one. This one was provide a list of calls where payment arrangement was done. And once again, it used the language model to go in and run calls where and give you a selection of calls where it sees that payment arrangement was done. So I don't know who was talking about, call drivers. You can also use this to indicate call drivers. So give me all calls where customers are complaining about run flats or whatever, and then it can go in and do this. As far as when it's ready, I can ask Corey to just jump in because I'm just confused.
And Nosi, just on this one here, is it practical or possible to use the inverse? So where something does appear, like calls are recorded, can you flick it the other way and say, I want the calls where the agent did not make that compliance statement? But there one would use a standard query, I'm sure.
You can use the same query, but when you're using your dashboard, you can just say exclude calls, and instead of include calls where this query was matched. So yeah, you can just exclude calls.
Corey, was there a point you wanted to make on that?
So the availability that is currently in testing and development. What we're working out is how the billing model would work, because it'll be a separate billing model using the LLM-based queries. For us, it's baby steps. First one would be to activate the summaries. You get immediate value from that because that's available. You've just got to you agree to the data processing agreement, and then take it from there. The LLM queries will be released in sort of the next 2 months. It'll be on beta again to see how clients are using it. Initially, it might be limited to, you can do it on, let's say, 10 calls as a triad. But the big things coming is rating sheets that'll be released. It will be a paid for feature, but you will use it for the first 3 months, decide if it adds value, and then see if you want to subscribe to it. The summaries is now, that's free. And then other things we are working on is longer term projects is we want to do out of the box value from a Callbi perspective. In other words, make it more something that you buy than something you do. So we're looking at creating generic dashboards that'll look at things like silent times. I've been hopping on about silent times from day one. It is such a quick win just to rank and rate agents in silent times. If you're not doing it, do it. You get massive insights. And a story that always comes to mind is about a year ago, we did a pilot with a retail division of financial services division of a retailer, and they weren't looking at silent time, but we built Henriette built the card for them, and it was startling. By them reducing just silent time, they could reduce overall handle time by 5%. That means 5% more calls, 5% more sales. That win was enormous for them, and they got 1,500 agents. So if you think about improving your agent efficiencies by 5% across all 1,500 agents by just eliminating silent time, massive wins. If you're not using it, I would really suggest that you look at doing that.
Excellent. I've seen so many case studies where that silent time has literally produced a return on investment within weeks. Nosi, back to you. You very frequently engaged with brand new users, new Callbi customers, QAs that you need to take them on the journey to become insights analysts. We've got quite a few new users on the call today. What is your experience of new users being confronted now with Callbi, this whole new way of doing quality and analytics? Over to you.
To be honest, Rod, I think the adoption of it has improved a lot. I think I've even mentioned this to Corey a few weeks ago. The rate at which our customers are taking to realize value is much more quicker than 2 years ago. And I honestly think it's because everybody now understands we need to move away from the way of working that the manual side of it, and try and move into a more speech analytics, AI kind of work. So it's improved a lot. But I think we've got new clients that are coming in here, and I always say to them, think about when you are starting, Don't look at it and say, I want to build Rome in one day. That's impossible. So try and look at what is the easiest, you know that low-hanging fruit, your silent times and so forth. Catch that first, and then think about what are your challenges that you are experiencing within your environment. Use Callbi to address those first, and everything else will start falling into play. I think what everybody does is they look at query building and they look at the system and say, where am I going to start? Don't look at taking Callbi to replace the QA team or to QA the QA environment as a start. Look at what is the easiest that I can gain out of Callbi and start implementing that first. If scorecard is one of it and you want to, automate and improve efficiencies and assess 100% of your calls, then fine, let's start with that. And then let's gradually move on to all the other things. And we are always here to assist, to hold your hand. So please use us.
Excellent.
Absolutely. I just wanted to add something, Rod, if I can,
Please do.
Nosihle said. And again, it's something that reminded me of, I used to say it in the beginning, and then sometimes, you forget because you do it every day. But scorecard, if you build to automate your scorecard, and that's where, a lot of clients drive it to, instead of spending the next month or to building the scorecard and then releasing the scorecard, as you build those queries, release those initially as dashboard cards, because while you're putting together all the queries for the scorecards, you can start off with, again, as Nosi said, low-hanging fruit. Let's say the first portion of the scorecard is, did they use the appropriate greeting? I've now built that query, I've validated, I've calibrated it. Now, instead of waiting another 2 weeks while I'm building other 40 queries, create a dashboard card to say how many of the agents on a daily basis are using the correct greeting. Step 1, already getting value. Step 2 might be that they mention the compliance phrases, and you go on along the journey. But as you finish a query, visualize it, because you can already start addressing some of the behaviors you pick up on. Just to use my example, they're not using the correct query. So by the time your scorecard is built with all the queries, and let's say you got 50 or 60 queries running that scorecard, you've already had value from each of the queries as you run them individually.
100%.
Utilize them. So that also is another quick one, because often I see clients go down that rabbit hole. At 60 queries, we're going to spend the next month building the scorecard. Once the scorecard is built, we're going to release it to the wild. You've lost a month of being able to address the greeting, being able to address each of those individuals ones, and then rolling it into one scorecard, which is then great. So don't forget about, as you've built something, roll it out, and then you can start getting the insights from that and changing the behavior drives.
Well, that raises an interesting point. Okay, Nosi, you go.
There's a client that we're currently supporting now, and they have a scorecard, and I think it's got like over 60 criteria. And we did exactly that. We checked what are you struggling with right now? And they said that they are not collecting as much as they want to. So we said, okay, so let's take all the queries that would affect debit order. So are they getting a salary date? Are they getting banking details? Are they mentioning debit check? And we only built a scorecard to only look at factors that's going to affect the debit order process. And that's what they're looking at. And that's what they've started with. And they've seen there's some improvement. And as soon as we are comfortable with that, thereafter, we're going to move on to the rest of the QA tool. I've got a question here from Chieta. Welcome back. Chieta was not here for a couple of months. So she came back last week, if I'm not mistaken. Welcome back. So Chichi's question is around the goals. She said, I wanted to ask if goals feature will be automated rather than a manual input of figures. Chichi, it's in our roadmap. At the moment, we want to implement some of the features that will change the game a bit, and we understand goals are also important. It's not that we forgot about it. We're going to get to it, but for now we are looking at your rating sheets, easier ways of creating queries and summaries and so forth. And as soon as that is done, then we'll go back and we look at what is our next priority so that we can start looking into that.
Okay, that brings me to the point I wanted to raise earlier. If we're looking for, fast ROI, fast value realization, I think it's sometimes we forget that we've built a whole lot of standard queries which come out of the box with Callbi. Corey, will you address those, please? Because I think they really are a fast track to from day one being able to produce results.
Great suggestion as well, Rod. So there's about 50 to 60 pre-built queries. Some of them are collection focused, but there's a whole section around CX style queries, high risk customers, negative sentiment, greetings, empathy. They're not definitive by any means, but they're a quick start. The negative sentiment one has already got all the negative sentiment words for the vernacular languages. It's a nice way to say, right, we want to track negative sentiment. Use the vanilla query and then customize it for your needs. So if you're not using it, have a look when you create a blank query. Let me just show the team because we've got everyone here. Where do you find that feature? If you haven't seen it, so I'm just going to reshare my screen. Just confirm you can see my screen.
Yep, we got it.
So if I go and create queries, I normally will, let me just make this a little bit smaller. I say, all right, I want to create a query and then create it. But instead of saying create, if you click on the category, you'll see some of the generalized queries. So if I click on the CX one, there's a number of pre-built CX style queries. So if I wanted negative sentiment, I select that, and then it's going to go and create me the negative sentiment query, which has got all of the, I was going to start here, all of the negative indicator words, as well as the vernaculars. I can then customize it or use it as it is, and then customize it. Again, it goes back to how do we help you get value quicker without starting on that blank page philosophy. Now, often I would say speech analytics is not something you buy, it is something you do. But these pre-built queries means it becomes a little bit more like something you buy. You can take this, you can run it, and then you can refine it. So it is already a good start to drive it forward. And there's a number of these pre-built queries. Let's just go and show you again. I'm just going to pick on the CX one. Go and explore these, see which of these are relevant to your environment. Go and hold wait time indicator. Another great example to say, were people saying that the system is slow or they're holding? If you've not thought about it, go and run it and see what comes out of it. Again, it's there, use it. It's included in Callbi and you've got access to it.
Excellent. Well, once again, if I pass that back to you, Nosihle, where you're working with first-time users, are they finding using the pre-built queries are generating?
Got a client now, about a client that I did a kickoff session with yesterday. So as I was going through the system and showing them this is where you find queries, whatever, and we're not training as much, but we're just talking about how the training is going to be structured. And they said, no, we've already started. We saw there were some queries there and their collections company, and they've already started creating, although they don't know how to refine queries as yet, but it's something that they can use immediately to look at, I don't know, calls where agent is not saying benefits of payment or whatever it is. But it's something that our clients use it a lot. And then as they get the hang of query building, they then go and create their own queries.
Excellent. Just before we wrap up, because we're going to keep it tight today, because everybody's got things to get on with, I'm sure, out there. Corey, I'm going to ask you just to reiterate the design principles behind the query method of looking for insights into calls, for empathy, for client sentiment. I think sentiment analysis, the way in which Callbi does it versus some of the American and UK based products. Why don't you just address that, because I think it's an issue that comes up very often.
It's an issue close to my heart, Rod, and I can speak about this for ages. But the challenge.
Yeah, you've got 2 minutes.
Okay, so let's start off. The challenge with AI-based sentiment is it looks at tone, pitch, volume, and then it has some black box words it's looking for, and they're only English words. So it might look for, I'm unhappy, I'm dissatisfied, but you don't have a view of what those words are, and you can't add to them. So now in South Africa, it's cultural. Certain cultures speak louder and faster because it's a sign of respect. That trips up the sentiment engines because tone, pitch, and volume then suddenly lift. Or you phone a client on public transport and the volume either goes up or the volume goes down. And again, it trips up the sentiment indicator. And then you get a call that says it's positive, negative, or neutral, which is saying there's an oil slick somewhere in the ocean, but we're not sure where it is. So that was always my issue with it. And, we experiment with the latest AI tech all the time. It's coin toss accurate, half right, half wrong, but it's not accurate enough. Where a query can be 90% plus accurate. So 90% accuracy to indicate calls with negative sentiment indicators, but not just that, also exactly where in the conversation the query it is, so that it saves me from going, okay, this call has negative sentiment. Now let me go and listen to the call to figure out what the negative sentiment was. Call summary will immediately show you what the issue was, as well as exactly where in that call the query it hit. So you can go and see, why did he say I'm disappointed, why I'm not unhappy, and you can control those words that you're looking for, but you can get a richer experience. So not just negative sentiment, but you can build queries to track things like profanity, racial slur, high risk indicators, the client threatening, lawyer, legal action, hello, Peter, the ombudsman. So you can get a far richer view, not just that it was a negative sentiment call, but or it could be a high risk call, or there was vernacular in it, or there was an F-bomb in it. So that's why for me, again, the query approach gives you a far better approach to sentiment rather than it's positive, negative, and neutral.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Nosihle, is there anything else you would like our Callbi community to share with today before we wrap up?
No, nothing much. And I think I'm going to end it the same way every time. Guys, we are here. We are here all the time to support you. So
likewise. Corey, from your side, anything specific?
Same thing to echo what Nosihle said. I know each one of you that are clients get my monthly emails to follow up how it's going. As part of, I know you've got interactions with Nosihle and with Henriette, but it's also part for me to say if there's something that I can help with, always reach out. I'm always there to help. If there was an invoice issue or a question, just reach out. We are here to help all the time. I just don't want to nag you with weekly emails, so I tend to do it monthly. So yes, we're here, and your success is ultimately our success. And we love what we do. You can see how passionate Nosihle is as well. We want to help you.
From my side, talk about passion. One of my passions is writing the ebooks. I think we have about 6 or 7 ebooks now, all about Callbi Speech Analytics, how to drive performance in your contact center using the technologies. These are all free of charge, and please, if you need any of these, just drop us an email. And the other one I'm experimenting with now, thanks to the wonderful world of ChatGPT and the similar, is we're now taking a lot of or several of the ebooks and putting them into podcast format, which makes it a lot easier to digest as well. So keep an eye on that. Visit our website, the Callbi website. A lot of these new resources we are putting up on the website. This particular Coffee with Callbi, we will also be editing this video and doing a bit of top and tail and a bit of music to make it fun, and that'll be up on the YouTube channel later today, I would think. Please feel free to share it with colleagues and friends. I see we have a number of non-customers on the call today. Well, we'd like to rather prefer to call you future customers. Please pop us an email or just put it in the chat. I'll get hold of you and we'll set up a one-on-one demo session with Corey. It takes about 45-50 minutes to go through the presentation, the actual demos, the Q&A, and the commercial discussions. So please reach out to us. We're here, as my colleague said. So last but not least, because down in the middle of your screen, down at the bottom, we've got a little heart there. If you've enjoyed this session, if you've got value from it, won't you give us a thumbs up, a heart, or some? Oh, I see all the hearts coming up through there, and a thumbs up. Thanks, guys, and Coffee with Callbi. We were a little late this month with Coffee with Callbi. I was overseas in Germany at the time, last week. So from going forward, first Tuesday of every month, please join us for Coffee with Callbi and be part of this growing community of insights analysts. Just to close on a little anecdote, there's a charming young lady down in Cape Town who's one of our first customers, was a QA, and she said to me one day, when I was a QA, my boss sometimes listened to what I had to say. Now that I'm a Callbi Insights analyst, the boardroom listens to what I have to say. So that's the power of Callbi. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next month. Thanks, Corey. Thanks, Nosihle.
Bye.